All right. Monday evening, which, as you all know, means it is time for DM James's Monday live stream, in which we chat, carry on, do whatever we do, and basically, hopefully, have a really good time. Apparently, I misordered and got two of these Goliath barbarians. However, that's not a bad thing because you can bet I will be doing some weapon swaps, maybe even some head swaps on this guy. This guy, it looks like his arms come off. They're separate pieces. So I'll be popping those arms off, re equipping him with different weapons, and then maybe even putting a bigger, balder head on him. RPG Dad, what is up, bro? Bruce Lombardo. I wasn't where you were going to do this. Monday is always the day. It's just whether it's 4 or 6, and today is 4. But Monday is actually the only day I actually schedule a live stream. Crafting Gamer, what is up? Home Skillet. Home Duck. Yeah, it's been kind of a bummer. Hungar has not been around. Now, I know for a fact that he wouldn't be upset if I told you guys this, but he had to go in and get some catheters put in, some stents. I mean, they did a cath and had to put some stents in, and that sucks because it means we have, okay, it sucks for him way more than it sucks for me. But I was, as you all know, totally looking forward to getting a lot of gaming done. And unfortunately, my brother has not been feeling it. And they're keeping him in the hospital at least another day. So now my mom, because she's pretty cool like this, has said if she needs to stay a couple extra days so that my brother and I can hang out, then she may consider it. Not guaranteed, but she might consider it. And I got to say, well, that's pretty cool of my mom. But yeah. Oh, look, the guys who do all the 3D prints for my big pirate ship sent me a keychain. That's kind of neat. Makes sense since their store name is White Wolf or something. Brother. So, Hungar, I know you wouldn't mind, but I'm going to tell you right now, I did kind of tell everybody what the kind of the update was with you being in the hospital. And other than being able to whip his ass at the vampire card game really good, we really haven't been able to do most of the things that we had planned on doing. Like there's still a whole BattleTech Lance I got laying around here waiting to put a beating on him. Just a lot of stuff. And sadly, but the good news is if what they did functions right, he'll probably feel way better when he gets out than he did before he went in. Because, that's the way it works. I know this from my time on the job. Some people will be walking around for a year with like blockages and like narrow arteries and shit like that. And, wondering why they're always tired. They always get out of breath every time they're trying to climb the stairs or something. And for a lot of men, it's one, maybe embarrassing, and two, they think they're just old. They're like, wow, when I was a young man, I used to be able to do all this stuff, but now I'm an old man and I can't do all this stuff anymore, right? And then they end up going into the hospital and getting some stents put in, and all of a sudden they're like, damn, I feel way better. It's like, well, yeah, that's how it works, man. That's how it works. So now I shouldn't have opened this because every time I open one of these, I get distracted from what I'm doing, which is preparing the cells for this thing. And as you can see, I've got most of the rigging on. There's some rigging that needs to go up here and it actually goes across and then it's pulled down, and so it's like a Y, because there's going to be a big cell back here. And then there's going to be a flat cell here, like just a square rig, and then 2 square rigs, and then a very small square rig, a square rig, and then 2 lanterne cells in the front. This thing's going to have a lot of cells on it. But as it should, because, I mean, it is a frigate, which would make it like a 6-rate. Hey, Daniel Barry, how you doing, bro? Which would make it, as they would have called it back in the day, a 6-rate warship, because they rated the ship. So, like, the really big, really, really good ships were called first rate. You know, like even the U.S. Constitution, I don't believe is a first-rate ship. I think it's like 3rd rate or something like that, you know. It's all good. They put a few stints in today. Yeah, and our madre was wondering when you might be out, and I was like, well, they may keep him there for observation. That would not be an uncommon thing, you know, just to make sure that you don't drop dead. Should be able to get out tomorrow. Awesome. Awesome. Everybody will be happy to hear about that. Your uncle visited, you know, and asked. And, you know, so yeah, everybody's been worried around here. Like I've been as usual, an emotional wreck with you in the hospital. So now this thing I got 3D printed for a whopping costly $35. And this is what the Portuguese would call a nau or nail, however they say it, N-A-U, or Spanish and everyone else would call a carac. And this is pretty much what the Santa Maria, the Pinta, and the Pinta, the whatever, and the Santa Maria. Anyway, it's what those were. Not very big ships, typically around 40 feet or so. Oh, Bear's there. Okay, Bear, hold on. I'm putting a clamp on. Clamp. Should I use the clamps, boss? That's right. The clamps. But
hey, what's what Hungar being in the hospital again?
He had to get some stents.
Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean, he's had issues with like getting lightheaded and blah blah blah. So,
yeah.
I don't know how it is up there, but down here it's not a big deal.
No, it's not a big deal up here. It's just a waiting list up here. That's the problem.
Yeah, see, down here it's not a waiting list. You just better have good insurance, or
yeah,
you know.
Okay, listen. Let's just be honest, so we don't need to go over. Hey, Hungar, man, get fucking better. Anyway, let's just go over this real quick, so we don't have to belabor the point. You guys have a bankrupting but efficient medical system. We have a non-bankrupting, highly inefficient medical system. Neither one of us is better.
Good to me. Someone else is in the chat, it looks like.
Uh-oh. Who is it?
Oh, it's Bruce.
Bruce.
Hello, gentlemen.
Bruce Springsteen, maybe?
No. Because if Bruce Springsteen wanted to be in my chat, I wouldn't let him.
You wouldn't let him? Why not? What's your problem?
Because I don't like Bruce Springsteen.
His music or his personality?
Either.
Personality.
Either. Wow, what the fuck did the boss do to you guys?
For me personally, it was had a wife and kids in Baltimore, Jack. I went out for a ride and never went back. I was like, you're a scumbag. I was like, that's what you are. You're a douchebag. You wrote a song about abandoning your wife and kids. Yeah. So from here until the end of time, I will never like you.
That's fair.
Now, granted, I might take it a little personal since, you know, my biological dad basically abandoned me my whole life.
That's fair.
So I might have a little bit of opinions about it, but yeah, plus I just name a song he ever did that was really good.
Blinded by the Light.
See, when you say "Blinded by the Light," I'm thinking about like the
Manfred Mann's Earth
by
Band.
the light.
That's
Woke up
Manfred
like a douche in the middle of the night, or some shit. I don't know what they say.
Revved up like a deuce, another runner in the night.
Yeah, well, whoever they are, I like their song.
That's Manfred Mann's Earth Band.
Well, there you go.
But Bruce Springsteen wrote the goddamn song, so you got to give him his credit on that.
Okay. I don't know. I'll think about it.
What's the one where he
I'll
talks?
consider
I
giving
love
him
Glory
some.
Days. I think Glory Days is a really good song.
Oh, God. I hate that song.
Well, there you go. We're allowed to have differences in tastes. We do on many subjects, my friend.
It's just like I have such a small amount of respect for people who never got over high school.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's like high school sucked. I'm glad I'm no longer there. I'm glad that I moved on and did something with my life. You know, there's nothing more pathetic than like a 40-year-old man still
lamenting his
how
lost
he was
high
like,
school days. Yeah, it's Al
the
Bundy
high school quarterback. In one game, he scored 4 touchdowns. It's like,
yeah, it's Al Bundy syndrome.
I
Right.
love Al Bundy. I just hate seeing that being the meme for all the guys that never got over their summer where they transitioned out of high school into the rest of adulthood.
Well, some people peaked in high school, you know.
and that's very sad.
Well, I think it's less sad than someone who never peaked.
I don't know. Maybe.
I think someone who's never known the joy of being more than just average, that's a sadder thing to me because it feels like a wasted existence. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I've always just shot for adequacy.
Yeah, but you were a fucking firefighter and a soldier. You peaked. You had moments that were above average. Shut the fuck up. You don't get to have the opinion about the mediocre because you are not the mediocre, sir.
Well, then I'll just shut up then.
Me and Kai had an argument on Saturday
Let me get off that thing.
about the fact that, like, really, whenever you're playing a game, 90% of our RPGs are about those people that get to go in through the paywall where nobody else gets allowed. And that's because they either go into law enforcement or military.
Okay.
Which is why so many of the friends I have are vets or former law enforcement, because they have an idea of what it's like to actually have to go deal with something that maybe 1%, maybe 2% of a nation has an idea about.
That's fair. That is very, very fair.
I just, I don't know. I'm just a grumpy bastard, I think.
Oh, please. You're Gen X. We all are. We are the grumpiest bastards that ever lived because we were promised something that will never, ever be.
Yeah.
Millennials, Generation Z, they will never understand the disappointments of Gen X. They will never understand the things that were promised to us that were stolen from us in our 20s.
Yeah.
I always go back to Avenue Q, because that's a really good ballad for Gen X. That entire thing is just amazing.
All I remember from Avenue Q is that the internet is really, really great for porn.
There's a lot more to Avenue Q than just that.
Never seen it, sadly. I live in Montreal, man. We don't get a lot of American shows like touring shows here. We get the big stuff. You know what I mean? I'm not watching a stage show on YouTube, dude.
All right, fine.
That's like fucking taking a shower in a wetsuit. Pointless. The experience of a stage show is to be at the stage show and see the stage show. That's why I don't listen to live albums.
I would love to do that, but I don't think it's actually playing anymore.
No, it's not. I think there might be a touring company still, but I think the big shows are gone now.
Live albums.
Yeah, live albums can be great. Joe Satriani has proven live albums can be great. Hungar, we miss you, dude.
Not a fan of live albums. I'm a big fan of Hungar, though.
Well, there are just some bands that can pull it off and some bands can't.
I mean, compare the difference between a live album and being there live. You know what I mean?
Oh well, I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously.
When I go see a concert, I'm usually not focused on the concert. Very rarely am I focused on the concert. Like 90% of the concerts I've been to, I've been making out with some girl in the crowd.
How's your wife feel about that?
We haven't gone to a live show yet, so she hasn't had that disappointment.
Okay, I'm going to say this for the record. As much as I love 80s chicks, nothing, and I mean nothing, beats 70s rock chicks. You know those late boomer chicks with their fucking gym shorts and their knee-high socks and their fucking baseball jerseys they'd wear, those fucking t-shirts with the two-tone. I mean, come on. You see pictures of that time and you just go, yeah, I'd like to buy a van. Yeah, I'd like to just cruise around America. That sounds awesome. 1976, the American dream died, sir.
All right.
All right. Yeah. And just remember this summer when you're celebrating our nation's anniversary, what you're really celebrating is a bunch of white slave owners who didn't want to pay their taxes.
I'm okay with that.
Oh, it's from fucking Dazed and Confused.
Yeah.
She gives them all that on their way out the door, the hippie chick.
Yep.
Yeah.
I knew he was going into that as soon as he hit the all right.
I love that movie. That movie was something special.
That movie was kind of weird too, though, because it was like, you know what I like about high school girls?
I get
no
older.
How old I get, they stay the same age.
Exactly.
Like, okay.
We're heading down to Houston, get some Aerosmith tickets. It's the priority of the summer.
Yeah, the one idiot's like, hey, punch them. Herd mentality. They'll jump in and break it up.
Yeah.
They don't.
I want to dance.
Yeah, they don't.
I like that you got any drugs on you? No. Be a whole lot cooler if you did.
You're right. Cooler if you did, yeah.
That movie is so good.
Yeah.
76 Disco? Man, you were early.
Did you ever see the movie Go?
Of course, I love Go. It's an amazing film.
I've never seen it, so we're going to watch it on Sunday.
I'm in. I have nothing going on next Sunday, so I'm in.
What is Go?
Oh, it's a 90s, early 2000s movie, and it's a bunch of intersecting stories about a bunch of people in one night in LA, and they're all 20-somethings, and like it has one of the best scenes in cinema where one of the guys is tripping balls, and they play this game, the coworkers, where they have to like name a celebrity, and then they pick the letter of the next name. You have to name a celebrity with that name, and she picks X to stump him. And he's like, you can't pick X, it's not fair. And then later they're at this place and he's tripping balls and there's this black cat looking at him. And you got a subtitle under the cat going, Xerxes. What? Xerxes, a celebrity that begins with X. He's like, what the fuck? He's like freaking out because this cat's telepathically talking to him. It's a great fucking movie. Awesome movie.
I haven't seen it, but I've seen that scene because YouTube made sure I saw it 40 times after I made the decision we're going to watch this movie. So there's like 30 different cuts of that scene with the psychic cat.
It's a great scene. It's a great movie overall. I rewatched it about 3 months ago.
Okay.
It was funny. It's funny that you mentioned it. I love that movie. It was the first movie I ever got on DVD. I bought a DVD player. My buddy came over to watch movies with that night, and he stopped by like the record store where we would buy our DVDs in those days because it was the early 2000s. And he's like, "Here, man, your first ever DVD." And I'm like, "Wow, go! Never heard of it. It was a great movie." I'm like, "Okay, let's watch it." Smoked a joint, watched it, and laughed my balls off. It was a great movie. It's got Katie Holmes in it, so that's fun.
Katie Holmes, Sarah Polley. I love Sarah Polley.
Katie Holmes, Sarah Polley. What's his name?
William
Dude. Oh my god, the guy from fucking Deadwood.
Timothy Olyphant.
Tim Olyphant. Who else is in that? Bunch of people. It's a good movie.
Sounds like.
But it's the best movie ever.
True
this
Romance.
Movie, it's this little movie most people don't know. It's called Why Palladium Sucks Dick. Oh, hi, Nerdy Ogre. Didn't see you there.
True Romance is a great movie, but I would argue that the best movie ever would probably be The Usual Suspects.
I can see why you would make that argument. I wouldn't agree, but I can see why.
Fair. I mean,
It's a hell of a movie.
I like The Usual Suspects. I actually like what's the Glenn Ross.
Oh my god, that's a stage play though.
Yeah, that's a stage play, but the movie is fucking amazing.
Leads are for closers.
Yes.
First prize, you get an all expenses paid trip to Hawaii for 2. Second prize, this lovely set of steak knives. What's third prize? You're fired.
You're wow. You weren't joking around.
That's
No.
a good movie, man. That is a good movie. Alec Baldwin before he became a complete cunt.
Was that before Alec Baldwin left a nasty message on Kim Basinger's ringtone?
No,
On her,
Who knows?
okay.
Don't care.
There's a period in the early 2000s where those two were fighting, and she released the answering machine and the tape of him just ripping her guts open.
Not the first time he'd ever done that.
I'm sure
Giggity.
he bottomed her out a lot.
But Kim Basinger is also in one of the top movies of all time.
Which one's that?
Batman.
LA Confidential?
L.A. Confidential.
That's a good fucking movie.
2 movies.
That's a good movie. Yep. And a lot of actually very famous people are in that movie. Like people you don't even know are famous are in that movie, and they're famous. It's like the gay guy that gets killed in the hotel room goes on to be the mentalist, and a bunch of other things. But it's like, and Danny DeVito, of course, and then have the Irish cop.
Yeah.
And
we got Russell Crowe, Guy Pearce. What's his name? Back before he dishonored himself and everyone hated him. Kevin Spacey.
But he was still great in that movie.
So good in that movie. I'm sorry. Kevin Spacey in LA Confidential. Fucking hate the artist, not the art. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Rollo Tomasi.
Yeah. Who need to be out on this Rollo Tomasi guy? I want to know. Fucking what's his name? Cromwell. James Cromwell.
Yeah.
Yeah, great movie.
Yeah, that was a really good movie. And I'm looking at movies that are like serious good, not like The Running Man, which I think is a great movie, but is it like a seriously good movie? No. But...
Is it a movie that changes the way you look at movies? You know what I mean? That's what defines a great movie ultimately is, does it change for you personally how you look at movies? And that's why Buckaroo Banzai, to me, is a great movie, because it changed how I watched movies. You know what I mean? Like, it changed everything about it for me. For other people, it's just a stupid, goofy film that makes no sense. And that's okay.
It kind of made sense. The aliens were trying to come from whatever dimension they were. And the good Jamaican aliens were trying to stop them.
The Jamaican aliens were trying to stop the bad non-Jamaican aliens. The red Lectroids versus the black Lectroids. But I watched a guy do a fucking dissection of the movie on YouTube, and he's like, okay, let's break it down. Are the red Lectroids really bad? All they want to do is get home to their dimension where they lost a civil war and they were booted out by the black Lectroids who took over. Okay, let's look at the black Lectroids and what they do. This guy, he's about to get captured in the stolen ship, so they order him to self-destruct and kill himself. Then they threaten to cause a nuclear war between Russia and America to get what they want. It's like, yeah, when you think about it, they're really not nice people, are they? Like, holy shit.
So all this time, we thought they were the nice people because they had the funny accents.
Yeah, exactly.
But it turns out the other guys weren't nice either, but you had to love their names.
He fell on his head.
Big Booty and...
Tay! Big Booty!
Big Booty, yeah.
I swear to you, Big Booty, one more word out of you. Tay! It won't work. Your overthrusters for shit.
Yeah.
Fuck, that movie's so good.
Friggin'
Lithgow, Christopher Lloyd, what's his name? The creepy dude. He was in Fast Times at Ridgemount High as the teacher who had the hot wife. I can never remember that actor's name.
Yeah.
Ellen
from RoboCop.
Ellen Barkin is just smoking hot in that movie.
Very
Okay, Ellen Barkin. Did you like her in Sea of Love?
Ellen Barkin in those days with her little crooked mouth could literally read me a fucking grocery list, and I would
Yeah.
okay. What do you say, Ellen? Just keep that fucking mouth moving, please.
That she was a sex symbol with really without a whole lot of peers.
I liked her in that movie where Lou Diamond Phillips dies, and then he gets sent back as a woman, and it's Ellen Barkin with apparently Lou Diamond Phillips' personality inside. What the fuck was that movie called?
I'm drawing a blank, but I remember.
You know the movie though, right? You know the one
Yes.
I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yes.
The scene where she's trying to walk in high heels is the funniest fucking thing.
I think the hardest I ever laughed in a movie theater is I went out on a date night to see What Women Want or some shit like that.
Oh my God.
And when what's his name like catches her, he can tell she's looking at his crotch, so he keeps like bumping it out and shit. And she's all like, "Oh my God, I looked at it again," and he's just like,
yeah.
Just
there used to be this
fucking
reviewer on the Daily Show, was this fat gay guy, and he used to do these like reviews of movies that were in the theater, and he gets to that one and he's like Mel Gibson this summer is in a movie called What Women Want. Who cares? There, I've answered the question. It was just like, fuck. So brutal.
right.
The Dark Wind. What the fuck's that?
For some other reason, I was thinking it was The Dark Wind, but no, that's not it.
No.
No, but there was a movie called Dark City that is absolutely awesome and totally underrated.
Amazing film.
Switch. The name of the movie where Lou Diamond Phillips is in her body is called Switch.
Ian McShane. Yeah, Cool World was okay. I mean, it wasn't my favorite movie, but it was
Cool World had so much promise. It was going to be the adult Ralph Bakshi's, version of Roger Rabbit.
Roger Rabbit.
And it failed on so many levels because it just never got the teeth it was supposed to have.
Well, probably the studios effing around.
Yes, absolutely.
Because a lot of things that these guys wanted to do for the art, they get told they can't do by the studio. And then,
I just remember when that movie was coming out, we all heard Brad Pitt was going to be in it. And those were in the days where we were like, Brad Pitt? He's not a real actor. What are you talking about? Right. And now we're like, Brad Pitt's such a good actor. He's so good in everything he does. It's like, fuck.
To me, Brad Pitt's still the guy that's on the couch smoking out of a honey bear from True Romance.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, he's always the pikey. Need to take a shite.
Yeah. Brad Pitt, I think, first off, he was good in where he played Death.
Yeah, Meet Joe Black.
Yeah.
But the thing with Brad Pitt is, he shows you like, okay, the guy who was in Twilight.
Robert Patrick.
No, I would swear to God that, Patterson or whatever, he was the worst thing ever to happen to movies. And then I watched The Lighthouse.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my God, this kid can act.
Same thing with Hayden Christensen. Same thing with Hayden Christensen. You watch Hayden Christensen in the fucking 2 prequel Star Wars movies, you're like, why did they cast this piece of fucking wood? Then you see my other stuff, and you're like, holy shit, he can act. And it always comes down to directors that know how to direct actors and directors who don't know how to direct actors. And the biggest version of that you will ever see, Keanu Reeves. Yeah. When Keanu Reeves has a director that knows how to direct actors, Keanu Reeves is amazing to watch on film. When he doesn't, he's a piece of fucking plywood. Nick Cage. When Nick Cage has a director who knows how to direct him, he gives you really good performances like The Rock and stuff like that. When he doesn't, he just goes, Nick Cage, and does his thing, Because no one's telling him no.
Well, he's a stage actor, so that's one of the reasons he over-exaggerates so much.
I'll give you an example. Roger Christensen was the second unit director on the Star Wars films, and he directed Battlefield Earth, which I was in. And one day we were waiting to do a scene, and me and my buddy John are just waiting to get what we're going to do in the scene. And he really, literally walks up to us and goes, right, so when you two come in the room, you just all right, great. And he walks away. And I looked at John, and John looked at me and like, so just do whatever the fuck we want. He goes, yeah, pretty much. Let's just do whatever the fuck we want. I was like, okay, fuck, we're good. Because again,
like, wait, what?
Yeah, because it's a director that's more obsessed with where his camera is, what his lighting looks like, and all that kind of stuff, and doesn't give a fuck about the actors, right? Dogma is the greatest heartbreak to me ever, Nerdy Ogre, and I'll explain why. A year and a half before Dogma came out, I got to read the script, and it was an amazing script. It had darkness in it. It was great. And the best fucking character in the entire movie was, what's her name? Serendipity. This stripper who's going to be just like, she's got sass, she's got panache, she's like everything about her. You're like, this is a great fucking character. And then Salma Hayek skull fucks the character to death with her performance.
See, I was going to say my favorite character was the one played by whatever Lee.
Jason Lee.
Jason Lee, yeah. Azrael or whatever his name was. I just
thought
it
was
so fun.
Well, no, that's Matt Damon and Ben Affleck played the two angels.
Well,
no, he played the devil, right? He played the devil. Yeah.
He shows up and kills that woman, and he walks in, and he's like, "No greater pleasure under heaven and earth than central cooling." He's like freaking out about the air conditioning. But I mean, overall, that movie could have been a little better. Like they could have named the angels real angelic names instead of, Loki. But on the other hand, one of my favorite scenes is when they're in the corporate office reading all the CEO's the Riot Act, and then like Matt Damon sneezes.
Yep.
And he watches everybody.
Didn't say bless me.
Yep.
Yeah. The lady. It's like, you're actually a good person. You're not like these pieces of shit.
Yeah.
But I sneezed and you didn't say bless you.
Yeah.
Also, in the book, the Golgotha was in the script, the Golgotha was terrifying. In the movie, it was just comedy. It wasn't terrifying at all.
Yeah, because you would think a demon made entirely out of feces would be terrifying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Battlefield Earth. I don't know if you ever seen the book, but it's a good 2,000 pages.
Yeah, I've never read
that thing is like a phone book, and I've read it, and it just keeps basically repeating the same story over and over again. It's like thing happens, hero rises to occasion, does thing, but then thing leads to other thing. And hero has to do that and rise to occasion, blah, 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 right? That was, what's his name? Hubbard, just trying to make money because he was getting paid a nickel a word. So he just strung that book out so freaking far. Hey, Squirrel Hermit, how you doing, homie?
Hey, Squirrel.
And so that's what's up with that. Battlefield Earth could have actually. It's one of my, what do they call it? Guilty pleasures.
The movie or the book?
The movie.
Well, you've seen me, so there you go.
See, now, next time I watch it, I'm gonna have to look.
It was so funny. We'd be sitting around. It was a brutally hot summer that summer we shot. And we'd just be sitting around smoking cigarettes, a bunch of us talking to local actors. And we'd be like, have they, and we'd talk in French so that the fucking Americans couldn't understand us, right? Because we didn't want to get in trouble. We'd be like, have they read this fucking script? And then like one guy's like, it's like they think they're making the next fucking Star Wars over here. It's like, and then Barry Pepper, who was a sweet, fucking, charming, wonderful man, loved working with him. He was so gracious and kind to everybody and really almost stepped into leadership on set by making sure everybody was okay because it was such a miserable shooting conditions with the heat and the humidity that we were dealing with. I was so thankful the day I saw the interview when he said, yeah, just because it's on the page doesn't mean it's going to make it to the screen. And it's like, yes, thank you for understanding what we were all saying while we were watching it be shot in front of us. Yeah, I like Barnabas. To believe Jesus was born of a virgin birth takes faith. To believe a man's going to stay married without getting some kind of nookie, that's just plain gullibility. What's that from?
Probably Dogma because
maybe yeah.
Of Mary and Joseph.
Squirrel Hermit, what are you doing, man? Nurgle.
Yeah, the poop demon. Nurgle.
Very familiar with Nurgle's work. I undo it.
Yeah, I didn't too. Dude, there was a short story that I read. I think it's on YouTube. And it was they make 40K horror books. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And in this one, this guy works at a slaughterhouse in a hive making sausage rations or whatever for the Imperial Guard. And there's a civil war on the world, and like he had a boyfriend, but his husband actually had died. The guy was gay, but they had an adopted daughter, and she died too. And then a little baby cute pig come down the line for him to kill it, and he didn't kill it. He hid it. And then later he takes the pig home, and he's feeding the little pig, and it grows up. Well, it turns out everything was in his mind, and the pig was a Nurgle demon, and and the whole hive ends up getting like overthrown by Nurgle, and it was all because of how this guy had been. Plus, he was having dreams of a friendly old man in a garden, blah blah blah, and of course, the friendly old man in the garden was Nurgle in his dreams. And yeah, at the end, he goes insane and decides to run out and join the other cultists in completely wrecking the shit out of the hive, because I guess that's what you do when you're a Nurgle cultist. But yeah, they got another one called The Rain, and it's 40K, but it's a horror. You know what I mean? Like, not that 40K itself isn't actually kind of a horror anyway, but this stuff is like straight up, like Stephen King kind of horror, like really.
I have a question for you two gentlemen.
Go.
You guys are Americans. You might have an interesting perspective on this. What do you make of all these drones in New Jersey?
The rumor I heard, which could be just a rumor, is that they are military drones looking for nuclear
gamma radiation,
any kind of radiation. Yeah,
that's what I heard too. That worried me even more,
because supposedly at some point someone had managed to maybe sneak a nuke from Ukraine way back in the 80s or whatever into the United States.
There's over 20 nuclear warheads that have been missing for a while.
Yeah, so that's what they say. I mean, I don't understand why the government wouldn't just come out and say, hey, this is what's going on, but
panic. Always, their excuse is always going to be panic.
Well, I don't like that excuse. I like to think that my fellow citizens are a little bit more put together than that. Got some new paint brushes. Nice, squirrel. But yeah, they've been seen everywhere. They've even been seen near Tampa. So it's not just New Jersey now. It's like they keep widening out. And, and there's a lot of other stupid shit going on. Like the current president's trying to get that law, writing an executive action saying that all those people could work from home for the next 5 years, as if he don't understand that the incoming president can immediately kill any executive order from the previous administration. So it's like, what are you doing? Are you trying to virtue for some good boy points? Because none of these things he's doing can stop the next administration from doing whatever they're going to do. I mean, the first day Biden was in office, he basically got rid of like a couple of hundred of Trump's executive orders. And so if Trump wants to, he could do the same thing. I mean, I'm actually more worried about your country than mine.
Yes.
I did hear some good news. I heard
we got some great news. One, Canada Post goes back to work tomorrow. That's the first good news. Second good news. Our finance minister and deputy prime minister, who sits on the board of the World Economic Forum, stepped down.
I heard Trudeau was thinking about stepping down.
Well, I don't know about that, but I'm telling you right now, those two pieces of news made my day great, because it's like, first of all, Let's get the fucking post office back to work. Second of all, that bitch needs to go.
Right. Yeah, I heard Trudeau was on his way out, and some people were saying it was because he got clowned so hard by Trump that he just is like, nah.
There's no coming back from it, I guess. But I heard
Yeah,
the same thing, James. He's looking at stepping down.
Well, there's an
Right.
election by October, whether he likes it or not, by law. So,
Mhm.
so what we've all been expecting is he's going to step down and let the next person take the fall because the Liberal Party is about to be voted into oblivion. The last time we had something like this happen, Brian Mulroney stepped down, and Kim Campbell was put in place of the charges. She was the prime minister for like a few months, and then that election, the Conservative Party was left with 2 seats in Parliament after having a majority government for fucking 8-10 years. And the jokes we used to make, Conservative Party, table for 2. What's the difference between the Conservative Party and the Beatles? The Beatles have one more living member. What kind of car is best suited for the Conservative Party? A Fiat. You know, like we just kept going and going because they got drubbed. And now it looks like the Liberals are going to get drubbed. And we're going to probably have a Conservative majority, which might be really good for our pocketbooks for a little while, you know?
Yeah, well, you'll see. I mean, you'll see.
Oh no. Any
We'll
government in Canada starts strong and then eventually just wears out their welcome like Ferdinand Marcos. You know what I mean? They just completely none of them have staying power. You know, they just kind of fuck up and continue fucking up and then eventually vanish.
Maybe
You know,
Canadians are just hard to please. Have you ever thought about that?
well, we just have basic tenets that we want.
It's
Basic
like
little
no
things.
one will ever be good enough for you guys.
Chrétien was in power for a real long time, and we fucking loved him.
Well, there you go. I miss Canadian politics when you had like dudes that were in charge of whole cities smoking crack and
Yes.
Canadian politics was fun back then.
His brother is the current premier of Ontario.
You're always wondering when that dude was going to have a heart attack or something. It's like, how can that guy be smoking crack and be that fat? It's like, you know, what's going on here? You're like, oh man. Yeah, but poor old Trudeau. I don't know if he'll ever be able to come back from having Trump call Canada the 51st state or some shit. Right to his face. It's like, yeah, you're a bitch. Go away. And he kind of trumped, pulled the Trump magic on Macron too. He kind of rolled in on Macron and like made him a bitch.
Good.
And I'm sure if he ever speaks to the German guy, he's going to make them a bunch of bitches too, you know, because that's what he's all about these days. Is just rolling into the Europeans and being like, you guys are a bunch of bitches. Which today he finally said something too. Well, not finally, but he did say something honest that a lot of people didn't want to hear. But it is that he said the war in the Middle East, he has a really good chance. He says they can probably work that out. He said, but the war in Ukraine, that's going to take a while. And because he said he's got to talk to Zelensky and Putin, and he's got to come up with something to offer them. And right now, since the Russians are winning so hard, it's like, what do you offer the guys that are just crushing the other guys? I mean, you know. So what's so wrong with crack? Never saw a heroin junkie over 50. Same with Matt.
I have. I worked in the lower downtown east side of Vancouver, Squirrel. I've seen plenty of fucking aged meth heads and crack heads. I was need socialized healthcare. You take care of these fuckers.
I remember in Train Spotting, the one heroin addict was like old, and they called him Mother Superior because of how long his habit was. That movie will cause you to have all kinds of thoughts and emotions about things.
I really liked that movie, but the sequel was kind of boring.
I never saw the sequel, but oh my God, that movie with like just everything bad happening to everyone nonstop. And then in the end, he kind of does his thing. And it's just like, wow, this is a truly depressing movie, you know? But Nothing super wrong with crack. Apparently, in Futurama, they sell it in vending machines. Because I remember when, like, episode 1, Fry wakes up and there's a vending machine on the corner. It says, "Try refreshing crack." It's just like, okay. Wow. And then him and Bender, he thinks he's getting into a phone booth, but it's a suicide booth. Man, Futurama, way before its time.
So way before its time. And then, like everything else that fucking they brought back, outlived its fucking potential.
Yeah. My favorite episode, I think, of Futurama will always be the one where Bender meets God and kind of is God.
By my shiny metal ass. I absolutely love the episode where Hermes is going to kill himself. He's going to jump off the building, and everybody's like, "Don't do it! Don't do it! You're supposed to live." So Bender just goes, "Do a flip! Do a flip!"
When they have to get Hermes level 34, whatever license.
You are technically correct, which is the best kind of correct.
Right. You're technically correct. The best kind of correct. And they give him his stamp back and he's all happy again. Like, Hermes is all jealous of Barbados Jones. Who's like the big muscular. And the reason Zoidberg is still alive is because he can never find a mate because his species dies after mating. But no one will mate with him, so he's still alive.
I reassembled you as best as I could, but I couldn't find your dorsal fin. Can I live without it? If you call that living!
If you call that living, yeah, right?
Yeah. When
he put Fry's head on the Korean girl's body.
Yeah.
Amy
Wong,
the Mars Wongs.
There's a girl on YouTube who watches American stuff that she's Chinese that has Chinese in it, and she tries to translate what the fuck they're saying. And like Firefly, she was like, "This is a mess. This is not real Chinese. They're just making up sounds." And then she gets to Futurama. And she's just like, "Is this Korean mixed with Chinese? What is this?" And she's like calling friends, they're like, she's supposed to be from this name, they're from this province, so maybe that's what it is. And she's calling her friend from that province, who's like, "I don't know what they're saying." Nope.
I think that, they were just doing whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
And in Firefly kind of makes sense since it's so far in the future anyway, so there would be linguistic drift.
Maybe.
So, Chinese words nowadays could be completely different then. But, I guess that's all I really had to say about that. But Amy, such a cutie. And Fry was dating her and then broke up with her. And Bender's like, "What are you doing?" Like, she's a millionaire. But Fry had to run it all. Bruce, do you have any 99.4 light absorbing paint? Oh yeah, because Squirrel bought that freaking super black paint.
I don't have the stuff that absorbs light.
He bought that special paint that's got like a shit ton of carbon rods in it, so it
I have no idea what he's talking about. Light. I got black ink, swamp green belongs in the green pile. Okay, adamantium black, Asmara black, nightmare black, dragon black.
Yeah, well,
regular blacks, not your special black you have there.
Right. Because there is this special black paint that's made with a shit ton of like carbon tube bullshit and whatever. And this paint will actually absorb light. So
I'm interested to a point, but not really.
Yeah, there's a channel on YouTube where this dude like paints the room he made in his garage with this stuff, and then he goes in and turns the light out, and he's like freaking out about it. He's like, because it's absolute darkness. when you go in there. Kind of like Paramore Street in downtown Orlando. Boom, boom, boom. But anyway.
Darkness, everyone. Darkness is descending.
Yeah. Darkness is spreading, y'all.
See, no, there were no Wesley Snipes in those days. Me and Eddie was the blackest things to ever hit Hollywood.
Yeah, never hit Hollywood. Yeah. I used to love Charlie Murphy, man. Charlie Murphy's True Hollywood Stories is the best. Forgetting. But yeah, when he talks about snatching that football player that was crippled out of his wheelchair and threatening to beat his ass. Like Eddie had to take Charlie off of his security detail because Charlie is a little bit too zealous. Like, but anyway. Yep. Everything game-wise is going pretty good for me. All the people that I've been waiting to send me messages telling me where my games are have sent me messages telling me they're on the way. I still have not took the shrink wrap off of that Blood and Plunder box because I'm sure if I do, all the other things I'm working on, I'll just stop. And I don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Oh, there's a fourth being up here.
Oh, it's a Doc Flamingo.
It is Doc. Yeah, Doc's my homie.
Hey boys, what's going on?
Oh, look at this.
I'm writing and being distracted by James, which is annoying to me because I'm like, my brain's literally splitting into it's like, I want to talk to James about creepy weird shit. And then my brain's going, we must finish this chapter. Finish this fucking chapter. And I'm like, no, talking to James.
Janet really likes your book, by the way.
Oh, is she reading it?
Yes, she is.
Oh, thanks. Tell her to talk to me about it. Fuck. No one's giving me feedback. It's like I'm in a void, a vacuum, an empty space.
I will get to it very soon. I'm just wrapping up the campaign stuff, which
The only guy so far is Jerry, who's like, this is really good. What'd you like most about it? It flows well. Who's your favorite character? It's just like, give me more to work with.
It's like, that's some great feedback there, bro.
Thanks, bro. Glad you filled the survey out.
Who's your favorite character? Didn't really think about it.
Or he makes like this weird comment after I put up like the 5th chapter or whatever. Oh, John should be happy. What are you talking about? What's going on? What do you mean John should be happy? Oh, no. Fuck!
No reason. Just, just cause.
Now the new chapters are putting up
For Heirloom?
that's a new story.
So Dusk Hollow is the first story where we meet Piri, Lyra, and Marla, and that all happens up in the town of Dusk Hollow, and it's all about the thing in the Gloom Fens and all that. And then at the end of that book, if you've made it to the end, you'll know why in the next book, Heirloom, Lyra is a character in that book, right? So it picks up after continuing. So Lyra becomes the bridge between the two books. At the end of this book, there's going to be another bridge that leads into the 3rd book of some new characters we meet in this book. And then the 4th book is where all of the stories converge in one place.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I get to build these characters out, let them have their thing, move the plot along as I need. The 1st book, you barely touch the main plot. It's just mentioned. The 2nd book, it's really a lot about the main plot. The 3rd book's going to be tangential and about something relating to the main plot. And then the 4th book is going to be, welcome to the main plot, hitting home.
Oh, cool. I like that. Doing like introductory story for each character. That's cool. It's a good idea.
Well, it's not just each character. Like each story has like 3-4 main characters in it that you're spending time with and getting to know, right? So it's fun. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the shit out of it. I never in a million years would have thought I would have this much fun doing it.
Oh, very cool.
What is the reason why you're having so much fun writing it? Can I ask?
Have you met me?
Yeah.
Have you seen the amount of raw creativity I shit out of my brain on a regular basis? Just like, I have this idea. Blah, 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 blah. All right, I'm bored of that idea. Moving on to this one now. Blah, blah, blah.
Look at your Patreon for the first time 3 days ago.
Oh, wow.
And it's kind of like whenever you meet somebody like, oh, they're kind of cool, wonder what they do, and we don't touch base too often. But yet there's this little pile of stuff behind you mounded up, and there's like 70 fucking mounds, all of your stuff. And if somebody's inspired to get to know Bear, they should go back to the first journal entry you have there in your big pile of mountains of stuff in the hall of records. And they could just start going through and figuring out what the fuck what's on his mind, really.
If you honestly, thank you. That's very kind of you. I appreciate the compliment. Yes, I'm learning how to take compliments. If you were to go to the first post on that Patreon and start reading all the way through from post one and eventually hopefully catch up to the modern time, you would think I'm fully creatively schizophrenic.
That was the second thought I had. I got about 7 entries in, and I'm like, this is a different Bear.
The thing is, he never got over playing a cyclo. So he's just like,
I skipped about a year and a half out. No, not that far. About 2 months from there, and it was a different Bear from that.
Yeah, I'm a liquid creator. I go with where my interests take me, and sadly, my muse has a very big strap on, and she's fond of pegging me creatively. So sometimes I'm just like, well, apparently this is what I'm thinking about for the next 3 weeks because she's decided that's what I'm thinking about for the next 3 weeks.
Man. That was very vivid, Bear.
I like how you said that as you were holding a long cylindrical object in front of you.
Yeah, that was very vivid. Thank you. Thank you very much for that image.
My pleasure, man. If the idea of a Greek spirit of inspiration metaphorically fucking someone's imagination and creativity was a great description for you, I'm very happy. And now you can all understand why I enjoy writing. Sorry?
You didn't say metaphorically, though.
I said my muse, therefore it is all happening in the metaphor.
Oh, I don't know. Your muse could be real.
No. She's not, sadly.
Well, Janet really enjoys your writing. She's like, I'm having fun with it. And he puts out a new piece every 6 hours.
Yeah, well, when I get on a streak, I get on a streak. You know what I mean?
Hey. When you're in the zone, you just got to ride it.
Yep.
Ride it on out. Because if you don't, then you'll lose it, and then you'll be pissed off. Because I've been there when I've been in the zone and then stopped for something and then can't quite get whatever I was doing back.
When I'm working on it and one of my tools crashes, so all the work I just did for the last hour vanishes, and I have to remember everything I did and then recreate it, it's, oh my God, I want to fucking just punch walls, you know?
That's the worst, and you never quite feel like you equaled what it was.
Recaptured what you got the first time, yeah.
Right.
But sometimes it actually leads to better ideas, and it's a better way to go. Everything happens.
You got to go out into the forest to pray that the Holy Sky Father will forgive you for having lost.
Odin hears you better in the forest, sir.
And then when you go back with your rock and hat, you give them new pages and tell them don't worry about the old pages because, you know, the Heavenly Father didn't want them to have those pages and they don't deserve it. Somebody was watching some South Park recently, I think.
Clearly.
Dum da dum dum dum.
Okay. With that fucking note, I do have to go make supper, so I am going to bid you gentlemen a great day, and we will see you soon. Flamingo, how late are you up tonight?
I'll be up all night. I slept most of the day away.
Okay. I might stream later, I might not, but if I am, I'll throw you the link, okay?
Cool. I will see you there, man.
Well, I think my audience is tired of hearing me talk about writing, so I don't know. Maybe we'll stream and talk about fucking snow. I don't know.
Well,
snow.
I'd rather hear you talk about writing.
Adieu, parting is such sweet sorrow.
But we shall say good night until it be morrow. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good night,
man.
That's
so what
another
are you
great
gentlemen
movie
up to?
that I like, actually, and that would be the Kenneth Branagh A Midsummer Night's Dream.
I have not seen that, but I really liked his Henry V.
Yeah, they switched the era. So instead of being in like ancient Greece, it's in like modern Italy. But the play is dead on word for word, and everything that happens.
Yeah, there's a long tradition of that with Shakespeare. Even that Romeo and Juliet they did with Leonardo DiCaprio did that.
Oh, I love
The
that. I
Orson
love that.
Welles Caesar is like that. Yeah, that's
Yeah, you got the. It starts out with the Capulets, and they're riding around in the little convertible, listening to "Pretty Pound of Flesh." A dog of the House of Capulet moves me, and all that shit. One of the best parts is when John Leguizamo steps out of the store and crushes a cigarette, and you hear that Western guitar, down, 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 and he's got the cats on the back of his still-heeled boots. Like they when they pan up and you see him, it says Tybalt, the Prince of Cats, or some shit. Yeah, and Balthazar, cousin of Romeo, or Benvolio, cousin of Romeo. Yeah, they did a great job of that. They kind of switched around a little bit.
well,
Like,
the original play is like something like 6 hours long, I think.
right, but
Yeah.
the way it even starts with like the lady on the TV reading the news, and it's all like two houses, both alike in dignity. Air Verona, it's like the prologue is on the television, where civil blood leaves civil hands unclean and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, they did a really good job of that movie. Even though the one they got to play Juliet was pretty much a plank of wood through most of the movie.
Yeah, I thought so too. Who was
But
that?
Leonardo
Was vaguely
DiCaprio was
famous.
great. And the guy
He's-
they got to play Mercutio was just, outrageously good.
Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio is a great actor. Too bad he has to be a Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah. It's like he starts dating a woman, and about the time she hits 22, he's done.
Now, he's another one who's mixed up apparently not only with what's his fucking face.
But Diddy as well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, Leonardo being a creep. Who would have figured? I mean, what are the odds? It's like, it's Hollywood, So, pretty good. But Knight's Tale was a good. Yeah, Knight's Tale did some stuff good. Especially like when they're dancing and all of a sudden it busts out in the golden years about David Bowie. But then again, one thing I may not have ever said to you guys, I'm a huge David Bowie fan.
Oh, Bowie's awesome.
Always have been.
Plus, he was the head of the Guild of Calamus at 10. Can't shake a stick at that.
He was. Yeah. Overrated play to begin with. That is such a weird thing to hear somebody say about Shakespeare. It's like, okay. I mean,
It's the dogs at your house.
That's let me go shoot one of them. Maybe the other will shut up. Hang on.
usually it's mine. So
I'm not a hungry Korean there, Doc. I just
What the hell, guys?
a little Kegogi,
stream.
right?
Yeah.
Boiled dog with salt. Yeah, I don't think they serve that at a lot of South Korean restaurants where Americans frequent a lot. I do know in the movie Fist of Fury, when Bruce Lee is in the graveyard eating the animal that he roasted over the fire, that's a cat.
Yeah.
Because apparently the Chinese think eating cats is cool. Not so much dogs, but cats. And then if you visit Vietnam, the guy that I watch who talks about going to Vietnam, he always says if you visit Vietnam, avoid like certain areas because that'll be the areas where they have dog that they're eating.
I don't know that one.
My NSA agent's listening in. But as long as you stay to like the more touristy whatever parts of Ho Chi Minh City or whatever, you'll never see it because it's kind of a thing they kind of hide, but they still do. But yeah,
What type of dogs do you have there, Doc?
One of is a blackmouth cur. That's the super, super loud one.
Hmm.
And the other one is like, we think he's a pit hound mix. Big, chunky guy. He's got that head, though.
I'm a
They're,
big
they're
fan
great
of the
dogs, but they just.
Blackmouth Cur.
Stardust was a pretty good movie, Squirrel Hermit. I thought Stardust was pretty good.
Yeah,
Had
somebody-
Ricky Gervais in it.
Oh, he's pretty good. What is this called? I haven't heard of this.
Stardust stars the same girl that was in Romeo and Juliet, the newer
Yes.
one. But
Oh,
she's
okay.
grown up and she's a star that fell from heaven. Like Michelle Pfeiffer's in it. And like, you know, they're in this fantasy world that's across the wall from the real world. And all kinds of weird shit happens. Like De Niro, who I can hardly look at these days. But at this time, he was still cool.
I can't even look at his damn face anymore.
Yeah, he plays a lightning collector.
A gay lightning pirate.
Well, I don't know if he's gay, but he definitely like to dress up in drag.
Okay. He's got a little bit of weirdness with his moxie.
Right.
Oh, is that the
right.
one that there's some like weird magic compass or something?
No, I think that's just the Golden Compass.
That's not
Which
Golden
everyone,
Compass.
no one I know liked that movie. Is like everyone I know is like, yeah, that movie sucked. Neil Gaiman wrote it, so you know it's weird. But basically, the witches need to eat the heart of the fallen star because that's how they stay immortal. And Claire Danes is the star. And when they fall and hit the earth, they become women. I assume sometimes maybe men. I don't know. And then the main character falls in love with her. And then they spend the whole rest of the movie trying not to get murdered by lots of people. And then you find out that De Niro's character is into cross-dressing and whatnot. And then he has to come clean to his crew, but it turned out his crew knew he was that way the whole time anyway. And they're all like, "Oh, Captain, we would have followed you anyway," you know. And then he's all like, "Oh, well, okay then." And then and no, he is gay. You're right, Bruce, because at the end when they're at the wedding,
Mm-hmm.
he's like giving the eye to that other dude, and the other dude's kind of giving him the eye back.
Yep.
Yeah. So it turns out that the pirate captain, whose whole job was to steal lightning from the storms and then sell the jars of lightning to people, was gay. And his crew knew and didn't care. And the guy he was selling the lightning to was played by Ricky Gervais.
Huh.
And I mean, it was an all-star cast, like I said. Michelle Pfeiffer, like just everyone in it was like.
Does anyone remember Michelle Pfeiffer from Angel Dust Blues?
No,
She used to
I
do
think
all
my
the.
first
She used to be in a
encounter
lot
with
of
Michelle
those
Pfeiffer
after-school
was Lady
specials.
Hawk. That's where I seen her first, Lady Hawk.
Lady Hawk is a great movie.
And man, was she was like so beautiful in that movie. It was just
One
like,
of the worst soundtracks ever conceived.
That movie.
Yeah.
Back.
yeah, terrible soundtrack, great movie. The one guy, where is Philip Gaston or whatever? And the mouse has left our house. And the mouse can say he's ran away. You know, to ease the pain, he's down the drain. And then the guy's like, hang that one instead. It's like, no good deed goes unpunished. Ain't that just the way?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I found the guy pretty annoying myself.
Yeah. And all the princes that were fighting for them to end up becoming the king of the nation were all named after the number in which they were born.
Primus.
You had like Septimus and, like whatever the Latin name for each, all the way up to 8. And they all killed each other. It's like that was the thing. Like the last one to survive would be the king. And they all end up getting killed. And then the loser from the real world ends up realizing he's a loser in the real world, so he stays in the fantasy world and becomes king and marries the star. And I think that's how that goes. So it's basically Neil Gaiman writing a storyteller, like a fairy tale. That's what I meant to say.
Michelle Pfeiffer was first in Delta House.
Delta House. I've never
That
heard of
was
it.
Oh,
the.
that was the TV
series.
version of Animal House. It was sad beyond measure.
It was horrible, but I remember watching that, and she was the pretty one.
Well, I mean, that's believable.
Yeah, I remember from all those after school specials. Her and the other one was Helen Hunt started out in those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember watching the redheaded Australian girl in the BMX Bandit movie or whatever it was called.
Oh yeah,
The one that ended up marrying Tom Cruise,
yeah.
supposedly. What was her name?
Can't
I
remember.
I don't
was
know.
pretty
She
hard
had
on
red hair. And I'm positive that she married Tom Cruise just to give him a cover.
Mimi Rogers.
No, it's something else. She's Australian.
He's got she's got that weird face.
She
Everyone
was
thinks
in
she's
Days
really
of Thunder and all that.
Yeah, I know you're talking
everyone
about.
thinks she's really beautiful. I think she's creepy looking.
Whenever I saw her eating crickets, trying to sell the big pharma bullshit, everyone will eat bugs. She's trying to eat chocolate covered crickets about a year ago. I'm like, yeah, hard pass.
Well, the thing you have to understand is like Australians are typically fucking weird. Like, and I say that as somebody who's one of their top 5 favorite bands is Men at Work. Nicole Kidman. That's it.
Yeah, it's that.
But like, if you ever watch anyone from Australia except Bearing's YouTube channel, they are just all kinds of like effed sideways. It's just like, who did was it Gamza that did a video of some Australian guy talking shit about the American election, and this guy had a BLM flag. He had like the
That's right, he
Indigenous nation flag where they want to give Australia back to the Aborigines. He had a rainbow flag. This guy is pasty as I am, and he's talking all this shit, and it's just like, it's like, really, dude. And you're talking shit about America, but you live in a country where at the will of the government, they will just put you in a camp and you'll just be in that camp because that's just how it works there. If they tell you got to stay indoors, you absolutely do, or you go to jail. And it's like, but you're going to talk shit to us about what we do, which is why also when I used to simul stream on Twitch, we'd get British people in chat and I'd like rip them a new ass when they start talking shit. Because it's like, look, you don't have freedom of speech and you can go to prison for saucy memes. So your opinions are invalid.
Britain has something like 5 or 6 times as many people in prison for like political stuff than Russia does.
Yeah.
It's
Russia has
absolutely
like
ridiculous.
300 and something in the last couple of years, and
Yeah,
Britain has like 3,000.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like everything you think you know.
And the shit they put people in prison for is just insane. It was like you said something that annoyed someone.
Apparently, annoying somebody is in fact a reason to go to jail. It's like against the law to cause somebody annoyance, I guess. I don't know. I mean, you guys, I don't know if you guys remember when they threw that priest's wife in jail because she told a trans person that they would never be a woman. And they went to her house where she was cooking dinner and put her ass in jail. Okay, Bruce is sharing something with us. Let's see what we got. A very, very young Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes me happy right there. She's like fresh faced. Probably 21.
Not yet corrupted by Hollywood.
She's 21 in this photo, or 20.
20, the perfect age to get married and start having children. Actually, I started at 19, so.
One could dream.
And I never stopped.
She's got 2 kids.
Yeah, but I never stopped. It's like I always say, you know how much condoms cost back in the 90s? I don't. Never used them. Of course, that's from the Dave Chappelle comedy. But a lot of Western countries are granted their sovereignty by hiding under America's skirt. That's a fact.
I
And yet they
so hope we
constantly
leave
talk
NATO.
shit.
It's probably
Yeah,
not going to
if the US
happen.
were to pull out of NATO, NATO would collapse. The EU would collapse.
The EU has enough money to pay for their own bullshit, and there is
They're
no
already
reason for NATO.
collapsing. Like Germany is already in the middle of an economic collapse. France is collapsing. You know, none of those countries.
Italy and Spain, their economies are in the absolute toilet.
Well, they always have been though.
Yeah.
Since like
It's kind of, they are Spain and
that's
Italy.
like the norm for them. It's like Greece. Hey, Greece, totally in debt. I wonder why. Well, they have been for like 200 years. So why break what works? I mean, keep in debt, Greece. But not your echo. You're 100% correct. They hide behind America. And that is why it's so important for American neocons to continue to hate the idea of the Soviet Union, even though the Soviet Union has not existed since the 80s. But if we don't have a big bad enemy out there in the world somewhere, then how do we justify spending billions of dollars every year protecting Europe from nobody? Because let's be honest, Russia's not going to invade Poland. It's not going to happen. You know, they only invaded Ukraine because they were pushed into it. Literally, they were forced to do it. Because there was no way they were going to allow NATO troops and missiles to be stationed in Ukraine. It's basically their Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah,
but
it was provoked. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's absolutely a provoked thing. And now poor Trump has to try and figure out how to get a peace when Russia has no reason to sign a peace deal at all.
Oh, have you seen the shit that
you're winning?
That Biden's pulling with the border wall that's already up. He's tearing it all down and selling it for scrap.
Yeah, he's selling all the
border.
Yeah, for like pennies on the dollar. What a scumbag.
How just unbelievably petty can you get?
You know what, though? You don't need to really build a border wall at first. Just get a shit ton of concertina wire. Run it in the standard 2-1, pattern that you do, the 2 on and the 1 above. And then that'll give you some breathing room to think about the next step. Because I'm
all in favor of a minefield at this point, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, like automated machine gun turrets with thermal vision. It's like they detect anything moving south of the Rio Grande. It just freaking, like the Terminator. There's just freaking HK bots hovering around. But no, for real though, you throw that concertina wire down, stake it down. That'll give you some breathing room because no one's getting through that shit.
That's nasty stuff. I remember having to mess with that in the Army, and they send you out there in your PT shorts, and they give you the staple gloves.
Yeah, you got those freaking gloves, and you're trying to mess with this shit and not get ate up on it.
Trying not to get your legs caught in it.
And how it works is if you get those steel posts, you drive them into the ground, and however high up they are, you can keep putting more concertina wire up. So you can build a 6-foot tall concertina wire fence, right? Which, professionals with wire cutters and shit like that are going to get through it. But at least it does give your side some breathing room to figure out what the next step's going to be. Or just do what Texas was doing before Biden said they couldn't and, put all those barriers in the Rio Grande. But
I think we need a nice long alligator preserve along the border.
Yeah, like But no, not your echo. You're 100% correct on that. The Europeans talk so much shit. And if it weren't for the fact that American taxpayers are paying so much money to keep half of these people protected, and then they reap again the second economic benefit in that our soldiers are over there spending all their money there. So, that's the other benefit, like there are whole towns in Germany that wouldn't exist if the bases weren't like right down the road,
Oh, a lot of places are
Dude,
built
when
up.
we deployed to Iraq, the base, they basically shut down Fort Stewart. Hinesville, Georgia went out of business. The whole town just ceased to even exist
Wow.
because it was like everything they did there relied on GIs showing up and spending money. So, but that's one thing I do like, the fact that the Germans were talking shit. So then during his last term, Trump moved a military base from Germany to Spain. And the Spanish were like, oh, yeah, bring them. We love them. The Spanish are like, this is going to be the best thing ever, And it's like, yeah, but not your echo. I've been watching this guy on YouTube from Romania. And he's been trying to break down everything that's going on from a Romanian guy's point of view, because apparently they're very close to what's going on. I guess Romania might even border Ukraine. And it's like, you find out what we hear most of the time is not entirely exactly factual, but what are you going to do? And of course, the outgoing administration seems to be, as someone else mentioned, doing everything they absolutely can to set the incoming administration up to fail. It's like, it's
The
like
pettiness is truly awe-inspiring.
yeah, it's just petty. It's like, dude, every time you think there's going to be a redemption arc for that old man, he F's it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, doesn't even know where he is. I don't think he's making any decisions of any kind on any level.
Hey, Big Vic, what's up, fellow reprobate? Yeah, I don't know if he.
They probably don't let him pick his own ice cream out because he'll be there all day.
Well, he likes chocolate chip. Though.
He'll be there for hours. Is there anything better than chocolate chip? This goes about sampling.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing that was weird. Biden didn't go to Notre Dame, but Jill did. And they took a picture of Jill and Trump sitting next to each other, looking at each other. And you could tell that Jill probably wanted him inside of her. Like she had that look. You know that look women get? She had it. It was like she's thinking about she would like Trump to do dirty shit to her.
Oh, she looked completely happy with the thought of Trump doing dirty stuff to her.
And the other one that was crazy was when Elon Musk was hanging out with the French president.
Loney.
And she totally looked like
the Italian premier
had babies with him.
The Italian
like
premier lady looked like Giorgia Meloni looked like she was going to be ready to spread her thighs. I know you have 11 kids, Elon. Let's go for 12.
Over there. Well, Elon ain't worried about child support.
No.
I mean, when you have that kind of money, it's like, oh, you need $1 billion.
Yeah, level of insurance and fuck off money.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like, the dude used Twitter to start a AI startup, which earned him $150 billion.
Yeah.
So he paid $47 billion for Twitter, but then earned $150 billion. I mean, yeah. Like I said, that dude is on his way to becoming the first living trillionaire.
That's the first one with a shot at it.
Yeah, he's definitely giving it a good shot, right? So, the outgoing administration, they can do everything they want to do. It's not going to change anything. Things are still going to go Ernie Gygax is coming to DaveCon. Well, the first thing I would say, Vic, is I'm glad he's feeling good enough to do stuff. I know he had some health issues. And two, that's kind of awesome because of all of Gary's kids, Ernie has always been my favorite.
Oh, Ernie's the good one, and Luke's the douche.
Yeah. Not saying I'd want to fight with Luke. That dude's got like 36-inch pythons. I mean, that dude's fit. And he looks like his dad. He looks like a version of his dad if his dad was juicing and working out. But Luke is the one that's trying to ride that line of neutrality. I bet
The
you
daughter,
deep down in
too.
his
That
heart,
was.
it pisses him off what they're saying, but he's too busy trying to, be neutral.
Did you see that half-ass rebuttal the daughter made?
Yep, I saw that.
That was sad. She's like trying to play both sides of that. That was just pathetic.
And it's like, this is your dad. You know he wasn't whatever. Come on. But, I don't even know why she would feel the need to be whatever, because it's not like she's trying to get a job in the industry or anything.
Well, I think she's a wokey herself.
I think she's wokey.
Okay.
She's a big feminista, from what I hear.
And that sucks because, back in the day, Gygax had her pose in a bikini for Dragon Magazine. Guys want to know where the action is? It's in D&D. It's in that ad is in Empire of Imagination.
I will say this: Gygax's first wife was absolutely beautiful. Like, if you look up Gary Gygax's first wife, like when she was young, she was smoking. She was a smoke show. Apparently, he had an issue with one of the artists. I forget which one, because the dude did a statue of her.
Oh, yeah, I heard something about that.
But as a pirate. And then Ernie and she took the statue and like put it on the mantelpiece. Because I guess this artist had the hots for her, and they were both like, whatever. But then Ernie did whatever he did in California, and things worked out the way they worked out, I guess. But yeah, that first wife was, when she was young, she's all right. Probably still all right. You know what I mean? If she's even alive. But and yeah, I probably shouldn't be so harsh on Luke. It's just, I'm just like, come on, bro. Defend your dad.
It's no little spine. That stuff's dying out anyway. There's nothing to hide from anymore.
Yeah, stop letting people talk shit. If you need to smack somebody around, heaven knows he could. So, just chill, just chill. It's all right. But, I'm not Luke. I don't know. She's alive but disabled. Yeah. And I guess I have to give Luke at least a little credit in that he managed to get Gary's second wife to stop being so crazy about, allowing Castles and Crusades to put out stuff Gary had worked on. Because there for a long time, if you wanted to get like, what's it called? Something Journeys.
Dangerous Journey.
You had to get it on the secondary market, but like back 20 years ago, 15 years ago, like Castles and Crusades sold like a starter box and all the books for Gary Gygax's percentile-based fantasy game. And Gary was working on all kinds of Castles and Crusades stuff, like the city of Vicksburg and all that. And, and then when Gary died, his current wife was like, none of this stuff can ever be seen again. And it was like, why? Why? I don't understand. Yeah, even if she wasn't a businesswoman, to me, Vic, it still just doesn't make sense. It's like, He already had done the City of Vicksburg. I own a copy. I bought it when it very first released. So what would be the point of making it where people can't get their hands on it? You know, that's just like weird. And what is the name of his percentile based game? Something Journeys or something like that.
Journeys,
Huh?
Dangerous Journeys,
I forget, but in that game,
Legendary Journeys.
yeah, you get like billions of freaking classes, and there are no or races, and there are no real classes. It's like whatever you want to do. Catch you later, man. Merry Christmas shopping to you. So if you want to play a warrior, you just put all of your points into like melee combat type shit and wearing heavy armor. If you want to mix it up, you mix it up. And there's like, I don't know, 50 styles of magic. Don't forget Cyborg. Oh, Raven. Where have you been, Raven? There's been a guy that's been showing up occasionally, and he has been wanting to talk about Mech Warrior Destiny in the worst way. Legendary Journeys, that's the one. And Castles and Crusades came out with a box set and a core book and all this shit. And I bought it, and I was still like, I have no idea what in the hell this is, but okay, Gary.
I don't think I've ever even looked at that.
Yeah, it's like, well, okay, you know how like kind of later on in his life, Gary Gygax was like talking about like getting really free form with role playing. It's kind of like that. It's like I said, there are no classes. I mean, they give examples. Like, if you want to be a knight, then take this, this, and this, and this, and this. But you don't got to. And the magic is really kind of OP as shit. And the whole game is about whoever's running the game making up decisions and then telling people to roll dice. And the whole thing is percentiles. So whatever your attribute is plus your skill number will give you a percentile that you roll under. So kind of like Castles and
Sounds like basic.
Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah, basic RP.
Yeah, it's basically kind of like BRP, but not. And you can play like 20 different versions of elf, including drow, and you know, there's different types of humans, and you can play half orcs, and pretty much anything you want to do, you can do.
This sounds like a better version of D&D than what they got out now.
Well, that I would agree with, but the whole point of it was just like Gary Gygax was like, I'm going to freeform some shit. You know what I mean? And then he did. He made this whole freeform game that was like, you know, that didn't have any of the kind of rules that you would see in AD&D. There's no way anyone can say Dangerous Journeys was a ripoff of AD&D. Not possible. Because, I mean, it didn't have, it is just totally different. Totally a different game. Not a horrible game. I ran it for a couple months. It's all right, you know. Yeah, it's all right. But it's definitely like I keep saying, it's definitely one of those games where you kind of, it's just really free form is all I'm saying. It's just one of those games where you kind of pick what you're kind of wanting to do, and then you work out how to do it. So some people might absolutely love that kind of game. But it never really got like if Gary had lived longer and Castles and Crusades, the Troll Lords guys had really pushed it a little harder, it might have actually become maybe something in the hobby. But alas, that just really never happened, you know? So it always become like an oddity. in role playing, you know. But Cyborg Commando, Gary put his name on that shit. He didn't write it though. And that game had the weirdest system where you rolled 2 die 10 and you multiplied them. So whatever the first digit, or it didn't matter. It's like if you rolled a 9 and a 9, then that was an 81. You know what I mean? And a 6 and a 10 would be a 60. But a 6 and a 0 would be a 6, or a 0. So, I mean, yeah, that was a weird game. If you rolled an 11, it'd be a 1. You know, it was like, but the setting was really cool. And there were actually novels that came out for Cyborg Commando that were pretty fun reads. And the aliens that they were fighting in Cyborg Commando were actually really cool, because it was like the bigger they got, the smarter they got, because each one of their cells contributed to their like overall intelligence. So
when I read Cyborg Commando 10, 12 years ago, I thought they had fallen in love with The Thing from 1982. And they wrote a book where one of the nemesises, one of the monsters in the book was The Thing. And you're talking about it right now.
Yeah, the thing with the aliens that invaded is they'd all been dehydrated and then sent down onto Earth to land in the oceans, where they hydrated and come out of the oceans and just start wrecking shit. Because not only were they biological, but they could have weapons built into their bodies.
Hey guys, I gotta run. I gotta make a store run. I will catch you guys later on.
I'll see
Good
you later,
seeing
bro.
dudes.
Thanks
Take
for dropping
care,
in.
Doc.
But basically what it was is each of the big aliens, which looked like bed mites,
Yep.
gigantic, every cell in their body was actually almost like an independent creature. But they were like a colony life form. So the more cells, the smarter the whatever, right? And the more powerful the life form. And then, so a side effect is if you were shooting them with lasers and shit, the more of them you damaged, kind of the stupider they got, because they were losing, you know, part
These
of their
resources.
whatever, right? Right. So yeah, there was a trilogy of books, which was pretty good. And you had your Cyborg Commandos, which were American, but the Russians had a program too. And if you followed the adventures, you eventually find out that the aliens you're fighting on Earth are actually like a servant race of another race, and you go to the moon to kill that bunch. Except that the big things, they don't know that they're servants of this other race, which is like a parasite. So yeah. And then the biggest of the aliens are like the commanders of their armies are like the size of skyscrapers and shit. Because, like I said, the bigger they were, the smarter they were. Now, if someone were to come along today, take that setting, but put it with a good actual system and neaten it up a little bit, it could actually be a good sci-fi game. You know, maybe update the technology and everything, and you know, yeah, it could be a great sci-fi game if somebody would just do it. But I'm not even sure who even has the freaking trademark on that shit. You know what I mean? The Masters, exactly, Raven, exactly. So yeah, because like I said, as a sci-fi setting, it was actually pretty cool. Your character had your brain removed and put into a cybernetic body with all kinds of built-in weapons and blah, blah, blah. And you were out there fighting a guerrilla war against these gigantic aliens, because the common alien you would fight would be as big as a battle tank. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They were huge. And so you and your team of commandos would be out there like duking it out with these big freaking things. And that was just actually kind of a cool story. But the actual system and everything was so terrible. It was like, I still have the books out in the garage, Raven. But Pablo, who is our bro from Costa Rica, has really been like wanting to geek out about Battletech. And I was telling him I knew a bro who had ran Destiny with no miniatures or anything, just pure theater of the mind. And he was super interested in that because apparently it's very expensive to get anything delivered to Costa Rica. He's also looking at Tauslanta, because I told him, you could get all the Tauslanta stuff for free. All you got to do is type in Tauslanta into your web browser, and guess what? It's all there for free. But now Raven, you may like this. I am building a Portuguese now, or Carac. And this is basically the ship that the Santa Maria, the Nina, or the Pinto would have been. So, about 45 or 50 feet long. It's kind of wild because it's got a cannon off each side, but it's got two cannons aimed out the back. So I guess the whole point of this thing was, if somebody gets on your ass, run like hell, and just shoot them if they're trying to chase you, as long as you can keep turning your back towards them, just keep hammering them until they leave you alone. Right. But this guy, like some of the other guys I've showed off, is for blood and plunder.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother likes to play the Spanish or just straight up pirates. So this will be a good ship for him, because the Spanish use these things for every European pirate used these things for a very long time. You remember that? Yeah, Jose, he's a great guy. He drops in all the time. He's from Costa Rica, and he's always looking to play some role-playing games. And he's a huge, huge, huge fan of Battletech. It's these are 28 millimeter scale. Like right back here in this box, you can't see, but I'll show you. Well, the painted figures are all Tauslanta figures, but there's a bunch of pirates in here. The one thing that's weird, but I figured out why they must have did this, is all of their figures are 28 mil, but they're on 20 mil bases. And I'm sitting here like, why would you do that? That is so weird, right? And then I thought about it, and I said, well, if the miniatures are going to be on a ship, you want the bases to be as small as possible so you can cram as many guys on a ship as possible. You see what I mean? So, but it's basically 17th or 18th century pirates. Even though the guys I showed you, they're the English, because I bought the English nationality starter set. They have a Spanish, a French, all the different Indian tribes, and then just straight up pirates. They got the Dutch too, but who in the hell cares about the Dutch? There are two things I hate in life: those who are prejudiced against other people for their nationality or race, and the Dutch.
But my grandmother's Dutch.
Yeah, well, that's from Gold Member.
Nope, that's from Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, but it's also in Gold Member.
True.
Dr. Evil says it.
Yeah.
I love gold. This is like what? And then they do the Hard Knock Life when they're in prison. I love that. Mike Myers, man, he could do no wrong there for a while. And then he put out the Love Guru, and everybody's like, what the F is this? They're like, we don't like this. And now, as a result, we don't like you, Mike Myers. Go away.
One of my favorite movies actually has him as a secondary character in it.
Queen?
Mystery Alaska.
I don't think I ever seen that.
What?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that.
That's like a fucking that's like the bro movie of bro movies for Alaskans.
Yeah. Well, I've been there, but I've still never seen that.
I'll pull this up here.
But he was also in Queen playing the producer that refused to play Bohemian Rhapsody on the radio.
Yep.
Because he wanted to play I'm in Love with My Car or some shit. And then the inside joke, of course, being that he had played Wayne. And as the producer, he keeps saying, nobody's going to rock out to this song, blah, blah, blah. And of course, the guy playing Freddie Mercury's like, oh, no, they will. He's like, nah. And then, let's see. One more module to go, and I will finish Enemy Within. Geesh.
That's a great module
bro.
series.
That is such a good series.
Okay, so here's the cast of Mystery Alaska.
Yep.
You have Russell Crowe, Burt Reynolds, Hank Azaria, Colm Meaney, Mary McCormack, Lolita Davidovich, which you'll know who she is when you see her.
Right.
Maury Chaykin, Ron Edlard, Ryan Northcott, Michael Blue, Kevin Durand, Scott Grimes, Jason Gray Stanford, Brent State, Adam Beach, Leroy Peltier, Cameron Bancroft, Michael McKean. This is like the most bro of all movies. That's
Sounds
not
like
a military movie. And nobody's ever seen it. It's fucking great.
Yeah. We, Raven, are playing the One Ring, and I am running Adventures Out of the Lone Lands book. The guy who is running the vampire game for us is taking a break, which great news is he did finally manage to close on a house, and it's not far from here. So that is pretty much great news. But, still waiting for him to decide whether or when he wants to play vampire again, at which point we'll go back to vampire. And if he doesn't choose that, Hungar really wants us to go and to play Taslanta. So either way.
Why is he wanting to play Taslanta? I want to know.
I think just because I got the Ultimate Edition books in and he was looking through it and he was like, oh shit, I want to play this. And of course he picked like the weirdest character because in the past, anytime we'd played Taslanta, he always played a thrall.
Yeah.
Well, this time he chose to play a blue Anid, which is kind of a bird person, except they can't fly. They can only glide. Because they're devolving or evolving, whichever way, from animals into humanoids. So they've lost their ability to fly. And the blue ones can still glide better than the green ones, but the green ones have magic. And the blue ones are basically straight up meleeers or, fighters. But it does say in the rule book that blue ones start with bracers of levitation. And One Ring is a great game. And as long as they have bracers of levitation, they can glide indefinitely. But the negative is they can't fly, which means if they want to glide and they're standing on the ground, then they jump up and glide. They're like 4 feet above the ground.
Huh.
Which is like, okay, what's the point of that? Anyone can run you down, smack you in the back of the head while you're gliding through the woods, dodging trees and whatever. But if they climb to the top of some very tall area, they can jump off and then they can glide no problem across, long ranges. And then the other guy in the group that almost always plays a fighter decided this time to play a muse. And a muse, before you ask, is basically a 5.5 foot tall fairy.
Why am I not surprised?
I'm surprised because that guy always plays like a fighter, a knight. In the vampire game, his character is like really good at boxing and, so he's playing this butterfly winged character that can't speak. Hey, there's Jose. Jose, I don't know if Raven's still here, but for any of your Destiny questions about running the game without miniatures, Raven is the guy to talk to. He's actually done it, and he knows how it works for real. But so he's playing a character who can't speak except telepathically, but is a mage and has wings, but they're butterfly wings, and therefore can fly, but can only fly for a number of minutes equal to 2 minutes times their level. So because they generally don't sell, 5.5 foot tall fairies, butterfly winged fairies in miniature, I went to Reaper and bought the butterfly wings. And then this character is, I think he's a Nolzur's whatever, some kind of D&D character with a dagger and a crystal ball. And there he is. That's going to be his character. And Hungar's character is a blue bird man, which I've already got. And one of the people is playing a Cerulean mage, so there he is. Ceruleans look like humans, except they tend to have green tinged skin. But really, they're just a breed of human, a type of human. So I guess nobody's playing a thrall. One of the young ladies is playing a gnomekin, which is kind of like a gnome, but not. Because anytime, I think I've told you this, anytime they're above ground, they have to wear amber crystal cusps over their eyes or they'll go blind. Because they live underground so much, they literally just cannot see in daylight. But I mean, they're relatively powerful. Otherwise, they're durable and they get some good natural abilities, like they're natural climbers and that sort of thing. So. Then another guy is playing a Casmerian trap master, which means a leathery hided old dude who specializes in making and disarming traps. And there's also a miser.
There was a movie 15 years ago called The Descent. Did you ever see it?
Descent?
Descent.
Where the ladies go into the cave?
Yeah.
And everything goes bad? Yeah.
What'd you think about that?
I liked it. The English version was a lot darker. In the American version, the lady gets away. In the British version, she don't get away. Like the whole where it shows her get away.
Yeah.
It's a dream. She wakes up, she's still in the cave. So, yeah. But I mean, the idea that there could be a bunch of cave dwelling
at the end of part 1,
evil
she's
bastards.
She it's a dream, and she's looking at her daughter, isn't she?
I thought at the end of part 1, she got out of the cave and jumped in the car and hauled ass.
Yeah, but she doesn't do that. She's stuck in a cave.
But in the British version, she's actually still in the cave.
Yeah, I thought she was still in the cave and she was looking at her daughter. She was hallucinating.
I don't remember that. You could 100% be correct. Here's another Cimmerillion that I'm working on, except this one's going to have blonde hair.
At James, for Mech Warrior Destiny, I prefer to make Mech Warrior to fight in interstellar crime.
Yeah, you could do that. There's no reason you couldn't do that. I mean, hell, he doesn't have to be a mech warrior. You could just make a cop or a private investigator that travels from one world to the next trying to solve or put an end to criminal organizations. One thing about mech warrior is, yes, of course, 99% of people want to play the big stompy robot, and of course they do, but you don't have to. You know, you can play a special agent or whatever else, you know? I mean, you can really reach out there and start playing like some really weird things if you really want to. There's nothing stopping you. You know?
Do you play computer games anymore, or did you stop?
Say that again.
Do you play any more computer games, or did you stop doing that?
The computer game I've been playing the most lately is called Medieval Dynasty. And pretty much in that game, you start off as a douchebag, and the Castellan of a town tells you, hey, you can go and settle any land you want. You just have to pay taxes. And then you run around and find an area you like, and you build some houses and some farms, etc. And then you end up having to pay the Castellan taxes, which, you know, that part sucks, but hey, whatever. And then, yeah, that's what I play. Right now I've got, and you can recruit villagers to come live in your house, your villages. But you got to build them houses and stuff. And also it works out better if you like recruit women and men so that they can live together and have babies and stuff. You can also, if you find a hot chick in one of the villages, try to, you know, romance her and get her to marry you and then have babies too. And if you do that and you manage to keep your character alive long enough, like till your heir is 18 years old, then you can stop playing your main character, but pick up the game with your child and continue on. And the newest version, which I don't know how well it works because, you know, whatever, but in the newest version, you can actually play the game co-op. So,
if you're going to do that and you don't blend in the movie Soldier, you're doing it wrong. He says, I want to blend Blade Runner and Alien. Well, think about it.
Well, they're the same universe, so why not?
Yeah, and Soldier's part of that universe.
Yep. And Soldier, the bad guys he's fighting are the Nexus ones.
Yep.
And he is what is remaining of the Soldier program, which had got shut down because they were doing the Nexus ones. But the Nexus ones were crazy. And then they kept having to do Nexuses until in the current Blade Runner, which I have the role-playing game, you're playing like a Nexus 9. And Sutter, whatever, the guy that Kay kills in the beginning, he's like a Nexus 8. And Love is neither. For those who have seen the movie, yeah, Love is a one-off. So
I didn't like her character.
the best angel of all. Right, Love? I noticed when he killed the one replicant that he was watching her with one of his little floaty things. And if you look at her face, the actress did a really good job of looking like she was trying to hide being very angry. And then, of course, it was kind of cool when she goes to see the cop. She's like, oh, it's because we never lie, do we? And then she tells a blatant lie, like crushes her hand. The thing with Love is she was a lot better of a fighter on open ground.
Yes.
But when Kay got her close up, he was stronger. And he just choked her ass out. But, you know, like I said, Love was a
she was a good distance fighter. She was a striker.
Yeah, she had her knives. She was good at martial arts and shit like that. But once it come to brute strength and no kind of finesse, it was over for her. And like Rachel was not a Nexus anything. Rachel was a purpose-built replicant whose special thing was she could get pregnant because Tyrell had cracked the code that would allow a replicant to become pregnant from a human. But then when Roy Batty killed Tyrell, and then the EMP went off over Los Angeles, all of that information was lost. And that's what was driving Wallace crazy. Hey, why are you barking?
No offense, but really, all of the Blade Runner cartoons and everything from Blade Runner 2079, all that should have been put into the fucking movie, and it should have been spaced in as intermissions.
Well, they did kind of in in the movie, Love, well, not Love, the really weird albino looking guy, he does kind of give the info about, you know, where were you during the Big Black, you know, when all the computers died for like a week straight, blah, blah, blah. And he's talking about the EMP blast over LA and how they lost all of the, you know, everything that was digitized was basically gone, you know. And he's talking to Kay and he's like, my mom still cries because she lost all my baby pictures. And Kay's like, I'm sure you were a very pretty baby. You know, it's like, you know, Kay was a wild man. It was like when the police chief wants to have sex with him and he's like, no.
Wait, is Universal Soldier in the same universe as Alien and Blade Runner?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, if you watch Universal Soldier, when they're dumping trash, you see them dump a spinner on that world.
Well, no, not Soldier. She said Universal Soldier with Dolph Lundgren and John.
That one I'm not sure, but Soldier with Kurt Russell, 100%.
Yeah, I know.
When he's on that junk planet, you see them drop one of the flying cars, which they call spinners, and it's all garbage. And then he fights the artificial, well, replicants. They're replicants. It's they're the first version. So I don't even know if I call them Nexus ones. They might not even be called Nexus anything. I don't know. That's just me saying something. Don't make it true. But I do know that Love didn't have a number and that K was a Nexus 9. Yeah, he meant Soldier. He didn't mean Universal Soldier.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the trivia for Universal Soldier. This is all like from Vietnam. What the fuck?
Yeah. And also, Alien 2, though. Which kind of makes you wonder, like, when? Like, Alien's the future, right? So why are they not sending Nexus 9s out to kill the aliens? And why are the androids so different? Mike Myers, Love Guru. It's funny if you can. Yeah. Prime just caught up to me saying Love Guru killed Mike Myers' career, which it did. Mike Myers admits it, but Mike Myers, he's been in a couple things since then. Now he usually only shows up in like indie things, in bit parts. It's like, I guess he's done. And why wouldn't he be? He made millions upon millions of dollars, so he can move to Canada, wherever he lives, or Scotland, or whichever, and be perfectly fine. Looks like my dinner's almost done.
Let me get out of here.
Okay, if you're going to get out, I'm going to get out because my dinner's done.
I'm not going to tramp on your dinner time. Everybody have a great day.
I don't know if it is. I'm just looking in the kitchen. I see my mom and my wife.
Is the first piece of basing that I'm painting for Maldrakar.
Is that for your big demon, or is that for the spider?
The big dragon.
Oh, nice. It looks good. I like how you went with the like muddy sandstone look.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Because if it were me, I would have did it black and dry brushed it gray and called it done.
No.
Because I'm lazy like that.
Tired of gray. Tired of gray. All right. I'll see you all later.
See you, man. I talked to a D&D DM, and he told me I was more a DM than a player. Some people are, Jose. Some people are. There are some people who are going to play role-playing games their whole lives and never run them. And some people that are just automatically going to gravitate towards running games. And, it really, it's just personality, I can't really get into any specifics about why that would be, but it is what it is. So, if you enjoy running your games, then by all means, run your games. And I don't know how you and Raven can, maybe you guys can get with each other at some point on Discord or something, but on somebody's Discord. But Raven is a good guy to talk to about Mech Warrior. He knows all the lore and everything, like down to the last little thing. So, yeah. And that said, though, guys, I'm going to take off. Yeah, I could see the wife taking stuff out of the oven. I'm going to take off, and I will catch you guys next time. What kind of adventures do you enjoy in Mech? You know what? The only time I've ever played Mech Warrior, it was Mech Warrior 2nd Edition. I was running the game. This is 20 years ago, at least 20 years ago, maybe 25. And all the players were members of a mercenary company on the rough, jagged edge of the universe, as it says in Serenity, just trying to keep, their mechs together and get jobs. But I did manage to intersperse between the stompy Mech Warrior battles certain things where they'd have to do investigations and go to different worlds and look up shit in library cores and things like that. Robust blessings to all. Yes. It's time to stick up the pole of grievance, grease ourselves up, and wrestle to determine dominance, and then shout grievances at the pole of grievance. Anyway, peace and love, guys.